Welcome to this presentation produced by the TCC Faculty Professional Development Department. This short presentation will introduce you to both virtual and augmented reality and its impact on education. So we're going to look at the differences between augmented reality and virtual reality, and we're going to start off first with virtual reality or VR. And this has been very popular in the past couple of years, and if you've been watching anything on TV with entertainment, sports, virtual reality is playing a great big part of that, and its impact on education could also be very impactful. So virtual reality, we're going to define it as the use of computer technology to create a simulated environment. When you view virtual reality, you are viewing a completely different reality than the one actually in front of you. It may be artificial, such as an animated scene, or an actual place that has been photographed and included in a virtual reality app, which we'll be talking about. With virtual reality, you can move around and look in every direction, up and down, sideways, and behind you, as if you were physically there. So I'm going to give you a demonstration of that. I'm going to give a demonstration of what virtual reality actually is. And for the demonstration, I'm going to pretend like we're in a classroom using an iPad attached to the system using Apple TV to give you an idea of what exactly is a VR experience. And then I'll do the same thing using the VR goggles with my phone. So there's several different apps you can download for free to view virtual reality experiences. I'm going to use this app called Within that came out a couple years ago. They are trying through the United Nations to show what it is like to experience being in another part of the world. And they have several different experiences you can download and watch. They've actually got some educational ones dealing with things like robotics and artistic kinds of things. But I'm going to go ahead and go to an app, to a story called Waves of Grace that was filmed using virtual reality in the west coast of Africa during the Ebola crisis. So this is what it would look like. I've already downloaded it. So I'm going to simply reposition my iPad sideways, and it's going to start and come up on my screen here. Now the great thing about VR apps is you can see in 360. So once this story starts, and I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit to where there's some action going on. So now we're actually in a village, in a classroom.
The children are going back to school.
So as I turn, I can see in complete 360 what it's like being in that classroom in this particular African village.
I hear again the sound of men walking and children playing. We are surviving. Help us to be your angels on earth.
Now we are seeing this in
Help us to do your
360.
will.
In a minute, I'm going to use my phone
Even
with
when
the
feeling-
VR glasses, and we'll be able to not only see it in 360, but we'll see it also in 3D, so that it looks like these people are right in front of us, and we are
The
actually
few
in that
people handled
village.
me. They were too scared to even touch me. And I was scared of my own child. I was scared of the man I loved. Forgive me, Lord. Forgive me.
So I'm going to stop it there, and then we're going to do the same thing using the VR goggles in my phone. Now I'm experiencing virtual reality using my phone placed inside these ViewMaster VR glasses. And what that does is it creates two screens to view, left eye and right eye, to give that 3D effect. So as I start looking through it, I can still get the 360 experience. But I'm also seeing everything in 3D because of the stereoscopic view from the two different screens. So I can see that man and the little girls dancing as if they're right in front of me. So the idea is to give your students an immersive experience of what it's like, in this case, being in Cuba and looking at the history of the Cuban dancing. So that was two ways to view virtual reality, both with an iPad, and you can also download movies on a computer screen and move the mouse around and watch them in 3D. So in my next demo, we're talking about augmented reality. Okay, so we looked at a good demo for virtual reality, and it all involves video creating a more of a 3D effect. So traditional video, a very 2D flat image, can use one camera, pretty much the view of one eye, to see a very flat image. What virtual reality does is, by using two cameras, at least two cameras, one for the left eye, one for the right eye, evenly spaced apart, that gives you the stereoscopic image so that it actually looks like it's in 3D. The old ViewMaster photograph goggles from many years ago created that kind of effect where you could see images as if they were actually in 3D. But they're also taking in the field of view. One camera can pretty much film maybe 170, 180 degrees in front of you, so all you can really see is pretty much the front of your field of view. By using more than one camera, in this case to create that 360, there are actually setups where these cameras are set up on a circle so that it captures the entire 360 field of view. And then using software, these camera files are brought into a computer to stitch together that sphere that creates that 360 view. And then also, if you use that stereoscopic, you get the 3D view. And the technology involves using your mobile device, your iPhone, your Galaxy. It's whatever phone you have that can fit into one of these VR goggles. This is one example of the ViewMaster. As I showed in the demo, it does create two screens, right eye, left eye, that you then see through the goggles right here. There's other forms of goggles that are very popular, and you'll notice they're coming down rapidly in price, rapidly in size. For example, on the top left, the Oculus Rift goggles, which you have to attach to a computer, came out 2 years ago, about $800 for the goggles, plus you needed a computer. Well, to give you an example, the price is now down to $350, but they're coming out with some standalone goggles where you do not need to have a computer or a phone. It's all pretty much contained within the goggles, and they're coming out in a couple of months for $150. So the price point is getting to be really good, and educational institutions will be able to afford to jump into the VR technology. It involves downloading various apps to your phones, and these apps are pretty much free. These are some examples here. The one I showed you was called Within, which has new videos out every couple of weeks. YouTube has a 360 channel where they're creating content, but also people are now creating their own content with the special cameras and software, so you can view all kinds of things in 360. Facebook has a 360 channel. So people are doing live Facebook VR experiences, and then a couple of other apps. are down here, which all of these can pretty much be downloaded for free and will have fresh content. Now let's take a look at augmented reality. It's defined as an enhanced version of reality created by the use of technology to pretty much overlay digital information on an image of something. Usually the glasses you use are clear so you can actually see the room that you're in. AR is used in apps for smartphones and tablets, and I'll show you a demo. AR apps use your phone's camera view to show you a view of the real world in front of you, and then puts a layer of information including text, images, video on top of that view. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. In this demo, I want to demonstrate what augmented reality is about. With virtual reality, we put you in another experience somewhere else. So it was filmed actually in that setting. Augmented reality is we're going to be in this room here in this table, and we're going to overlay images or objects in this room and be able to interact with them by using either a tablet or the glasses with your phone, which will give it a 3D effect. And I have a much older iPad, so I'm very limited to the ability to show this app to you, but I want to start off to kind of show you using the screen here in this room an app called Augmented Reality Brain. Then I'm going to show you the potential with the actual human anatomy and the entire body. So I basically am pointing my phone, my tablet, at this desk in the room here, and I've been able to overlay a human head here, a male head, that I can interact with by touching, and I can go ahead and take off the skin to reveal the skull and underneath the skull, and then using my fingers I can make it bigger or smaller. And then I can continue taking off things like I can take that off. I can actually break the skull apart.
Cerebellum. The cerebellum is the area of the brain that controls movement,
And when I touch certain parts of the body, it tells me more about what it is. So I'm going to actually break the brain apart, and I can touch
cerebellum. The cerebellum is the area
there
of the brain that controls movement, coordination, balance, equilibrium and muscle tone. Left cerebral hemisphere. The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body, as well as spoken.
Now, if I had a better iPad, I could actually overlay this in the table and walk around it and be able to grab it and look at different parts of it. It also has another feature over here to give a VR experience, and it actually talks about
the brain is a compact network of over
the inside of the brain and the neural networks.
At the center of each neuron is the soma, which contains the nucleus and acts as the cell's hub.
And once again, if I were wearing the glasses, I would see this in 3D. But it gives a very good demonstration of what the neural networks inside a brain looks like.
Able to send a pulse of electricity to neighboring neurons.
Okay, so that basically is a very simple anatomy app. Now there is a more advanced one called Atlas 2018, which does have an AR version of it where I could overlay a body on this table and actually use my phone or iPad and take off layers and go into it. But I just want to give you a little demo here of how elaborate this particular app is and how your students could use this to learn human anatomy and physiology. So skip through the demo here, and we're going to get started. Got it. Okay, so I can actually pick a part of the body, so I'm going to start off by choosing the pulmonary section, the heart section. And here again, I can move it around, I can zoom in closer, I can bring it up. I can add sound to it, but I can touch something.
Pulmonary arteries. Right atrium.
It also has information about various parts that you could actually read while you're interacting with it. And you have the ability to hide certain things as you're going along. So I could touch things and hide them. I could fade them away so you can kind of look like that. Now, if I had the AR version, I could actually have the heart right here on the table, and we could walk around it and open it up. So let me go to the actual entire body. And I'm going to go to the, actually it's a different section. I'm going to go to the Gross Anatomy Lab, and I'm going to grab this part of the body here. And so basically it puts it on a table for me. And I can go ahead and turn it around. And then I'll be able to interact with it. I can touch parts of it. I can hide parts of it. I can take my dissect tool right here, which when I click on that, that would remove the skin. And then I can remove the muscles and go deeper and deeper into the body. Very nice, but there, once again, if I had the AR feature pointing at the table here, and I'll show you a video of that in my presentation, the body lays out and I can enlarge it, I can move it around, I can touch things, it tells me what parts of the body it is, I can get information about it and dissect through the body. So that's using an anatomy app. Now you can imagine things like engineering apps and other apps for math where you can bring actual visual equations and graphs right into the room and interact with them and have graphs change right before your very eyes. So the world of augmented reality is overlaying things on the real world, and it has some great applications for education. So I'm going to continue on with my presentation and tell you more about it. Okay, so we've had a brief overview of the two technologies, VR and AR, but the whole concept is that it lets you experience other things that maybe you wouldn't be able to experience. And all of these experiences you can access via the internet. So now the internet becomes the internet of experiences. And so it has a lot of great possibilities for education and being able to take our students and give them many experiences, which at the end of this we'll talk about how experience enhances learning. But presence is a phenomenon that occurs when your brain is convinced on a fundamental and subconscious level that the VR or AR simulation is real. And that's the whole thing with experience. So how does this affect learning? Looking at Edgar Dale's cone of learning theory, we know that just by reading something, you're going to forget about that 10% of what you read very quickly. Hearing words, listening, seeing, you retain a lot more. Looking at pictures, going to class, looking at demonstrations, you can maybe retain half of it as visual receiving. But the single best thing you can do is actually experience something, simulate the real experience by doing. And if you do that, you're going to learn 90% of what the goal was for that particular topic. So imagine being able to bring these experiences into your classroom rather than just giving a lecture or a PowerPoint presentation, but something real they can put their hands on, they can see, and they can participate in. So that's pretty much an overview of these two technologies. Throughout the month of December, we'll be doing courses, workshops on these technologies. So be sure to check the Baton Center schedule on their website for dates and times. All right, thank you.